Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest Mobilized Jobs information session and the addition of the COVID-19 update and how we are handling the virus concerns this summer and how the program is going to be operating through 2020. My name is Benjamin Guth. I'm the president and program manager of the Mobilized Jobs program, and I'm going to do my best to try to answer as many of your questions up front and give you as much information as you need over the next couple of minutes. Of course, if you have any additional questions or there are elements that I don't get to over the course of this webinar, please head over to the website mobilizedjobs.ca and you should be able to go to the frequently asked questions area and find some additional information. On top of that, at the end of this webinar, you will receive some contact information to reach out to us, and we'll see if we can help you and give you all that information. So let's talk about Mobilize. I know the world is a little bit chaotic right now, but that doesn't mean that people aren't working and people aren't traveling, and we're taking extra precautions to make sure that everybody is safe and that the program is still operating. But at the end of the day, as you start to see properties and tourism regions reopen, there are still jobs that need to be filled, and the Mobilized Jobs program is there to help get you out of your comfort zone, try something new, and explore a brand new part of Canada. If you are applying from overseas or you're applying from America with the intention of applying to our sister program in the United States, you are in the wrong place. Head to mobilizedjobs.com and go to the US program, and you'll be able to find all the information you are looking for. For the purpose of today, let's talk about Canada. So, jumping right in, what is Mobilize? We get this question often, even though people make it all the way through the website, they do a ton of research, but at the very core of it, they don't technically understand what it is we're trying to do. So why don't I just get to the core of it here? Mobilized Jobs is a national employment initiative aimed at getting people working with really great Canadian companies across the country with the intention of trying something brand new. We created the program because we believe that there's some really amazing employers out there in some pretty incredible locations that most people have never heard of. I myself had limited travel experience across Canada before we started Mobilize. I'd been all over the world, but I'd never been to Revelstoke or Banff or Whistler. And so we had, in our travels and in our exploration, we had learned that there's some really wonderful employers in these regions that are looking for people who want to work for 4, 6, 8 months at a time, but not necessarily make a lifelong commitment simply because their businesses are very seasonal. And so we wanted to create something that allowed the opportunity to take seasonal jobs, shorter term jobs in many of these incredible locations without being punished for only wanting to take a job for 6 months. So the Mobilize program is a work and travel adventure. It's an opportunity to live in some really incredible places, to work with some incredible employers, but not have to commit for the rest of your life. It's 4 to 6 month placements in each location. And, by the time you're finishing up your first location, if you decide you want to go somewhere else, there's always another location that's going to be available for the following season. Traditionally, we have summer placements and we have winter placements, although we are hiring year-round for a variety of roles. The best part about this program is that we take care of all of the logistics for you. We're going to work very closely to make sure that you don't have to worry about finding your own housing when you get to a location. And we'll talk more about that later. And we're going to help you arrange travel, although we're not able to pay for it, but we're going to help you arrange that process and make sure you know the best way to get to a particular location. We're going to help you choose locations that we know are going to fit you perfectly because we work really hard to get to know you and each one of these employers and act as that resource to help you on that adventure. With this program, it's still relatively new. We've been in operation for about 6 years now. We sent out our first group at the end of 2014. We'll talk more about some of the specific individuals that we've sent out so far and how many we've sent out, but we've learned a tremendous amount over the thousands of people that have gone through this already. And one of the biggest pieces, it's not just about traveling. It's not just about a job. It's about the people that you're traveling with. It's about the friendships that you're going to make. It's about the career relationships that you're going to make and the references that you're going to have on your resume at the end of this. And more than anything else, it's about a change from what you're used to. The point of this is to take 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever that commitment is that you're looking to make, and try something totally new. And that's really what we've done here at Mobilize. With the opportunities that particularly exist out there right now, we tend to find that individual employers are still hiring, especially now as reopening occurs from the COVID shutdowns. So we do absolutely have positions that we're filling immediately. We have positions that we're filling with that we're planning for over the next couple of weeks and months. And we work very carefully to make sure that you're going to be safe in regards to getting to each one of these properties, and when you're working there, that you're going to be in an environment that it is safe. But again, each property is a little different, and we can speak about those in detail one-on-one once you get to that stage in your interview. So here's what we know so far. The program is a work and travel program. We know that it's full-time paid jobs. Okay, this is not part-time. I'm going to be working on the side and I'm going to need 3 jobs to survive. We only work with employers that are willing to give you at least 30 to 35 hours a week, so you have opportunity to work, to fund your adventure while you're out there, that you have the opportunity to explore and try new things while you're in a new location, but also that you are making some money. We never want you to be in a position where you can't afford to live in each location. That's crucial for us. So again, this is full-time paid work. No matter what happens, there is always going to be housing that is a part of the package. Okay, so you never have to worry about locating housing or not being able to pay for it. We are going to do the calculation with you. We're going to do it in advance, and we're going to make sure that it's identified, it's clean, it's safe, and that it's not too expensive to the point where you can't afford to live there. So this is an important stage because people don't always understand when it comes to the housing piece. Housing isn't necessarily free. Okay, what we do is we negotiate bulk rates for our partners as part of the total package. And so these properties are heavily subsidizing your housing. You're always going to be making enough money to cover the cost of your housing, and your wage is never going to drop below that provincial minimum after housing has been deducted. So you might be making a couple of bucks more per hour and having a couple of bucks deducted for housing, or you might be making provincial minimum wage and getting free housing. But generally, a good understanding of the financials of this program is that no matter what happens, you're always going to be getting at least provincial minimum after housing costs. Okay, there's more information on that specific topic on our website, so please feel free to pop over there and get some additional info. Also, if you want to apply with your friends, we totally encourage that. That's a great way to explore and travel the country together. We have many partners that are looking for multiple individuals. Generally, we place a minimum of 2, 4, 7, 15, whatever that number is per property. You're generally not going to be at a location alone, and that's because a big part of this Mobilized program is the bonding experience. It's the fact that you're going to need somebody to go through this with, and we want that to happen. So if there is somebody you want to travel with, please feel free to jump on board with them and just make sure we know during the interview process that you're applying together. If not, that's totally cool too. I would say probably about 70% of our program applies alone. But remember, you're not going to be alone for long. The type of people that you meet in this program, they're all traveling companions. They're all working travelers. We're all adventurers at heart, and we're doing this together. And so you're going to get to know people very, very quickly. And since we've launched the program in 2014, we've now seen 5 Mobilized weddings and 5 Mobilized babies. So I'm not saying that it's a dating program, but you're going to meet some pretty incredible people that all kind of share a like-minded thirst for travel and adventure. And finally, one of the biggest pieces here, we always get this question, how much does this program cost? It doesn't cost you anything. This is an employment program. You're going to be employees. We're looking for the best and brightest, and we're just kind of creating a really cool way to fill a lot of the jobs that our employers have by offering this work and travel adventure. And so, of course, there's absolutely no cost to participate in this program. If you require certain licenses, so for example, if you're going to be in a liquor service role and you require a provincial liquor license, you're going to have to cover the cost of that yourself. If you require an updated police clearance, you're going to have to cover the cost of that yourself, but those are generally a couple of bucks. They're not significantly expensive. Finally, the only real cost that does come up within this program is the costs of your own transportation. In my experience, when we first built the program, we offered that complimentary, but people took advantage, used it as a free vacation, showed up to a location and disappeared after a couple of days. And I couldn't do that anymore. So you are required to be able to fund the cost of your travel to get to your initial location. So make sure that you have a couple of bucks, whether that be a flight, whether that be a car, or whether you're driving yourself. Make sure you can fill that gas tank and get you to that location. Again, once you get there, housing is going to be a part of the package, but you will be required to get yourself to that initial placement. Let's keep going ahead. So a little bit of history. Again, we were recruiting our first group at the end of 2014. We've now sent out over 12 launches. That's actually over around 2,000 people that we've deployed to date. And those are all mobilizers just like you that have come through this entire process, that have had their impact on the program, that have left their mark. And if you go over to any of our social media channels, you'll actually be able to view their own experiences, their own stories, their own pictures and videos that they've shared. And most of them are still fairly active on that page. So if you have any particular questions about locations, about specific properties, about the experience, about interview tips, head over there. They're on there. They're talking right now, and they can kind of share their experience much, much better than I can, as they actually, have gone to many of these locations before. The program has changed significantly every 6 months. And so there's always going to be new elements. There's always going to be things that we adapt to be able to make it better for you. And so, they might be able to share some advice and guidance on how things were when they were going through it. And, you can share some experiences for future individuals when those people have questions about the program. So a big question that we've often seen when people are going through this process is, where did this program come from? How does it work? What are the specifics? And I always like to bring a little bit of history into this and explain kind of the mentality, why we created this, what works for Canadians. How do I create something? How do we build an experience that are going to get, individuals across Canada that are looking for work really excited about taking a job in Banff or in Whistler or in, rural Manitoba or in Beaver Creek, Yukon territories. And so I like to share kind of where we identified the specifics of the program and how we kind of figured out what would work and what wouldn't work. When we first built this program, and continuously every 6 months as we retool the program, we like to sit down with all of the mobilizers that are in the program, get their feedback, and find out what it is that they're looking for in a seasonal job or even a year-round job. What we learned is that we needed to create something that wasn't just a job. We needed to create something that wasn't going to be a break from your everyday life, that wasn't going to be, a 6-month opportunity to make a little bit of money before you go back to university. We needed to create something that was going to be an incredible adventure, the opportunity to break outside of your comfort zone, to leave the little box that you've been living in for the last 25 years and step outside into the unknown and try to find a totally new way of living. We needed to create something that was safe, but that was providing an adventure and an opportunity to see your own country that many people have never had before. We also needed to make sure that these weren't commitments that you have to make for the rest of your life. A big piece that I had learned is that people were afraid to try new jobs because they didn't want to let down employers if they decided they didn't like it after 6 months. And so we decided, 5-6 months, that's enough time to experience a location, and experience an industry, experience a job without having to commit for the rest of your life. And so we set our seasons at 5 to 6 months. And generally, before that period ends, you'll have lots of communication with us, and you can decide if you love the program and want to keep traveling, if you want to try something totally new, or if you'd like to continue and stay on at particular locations. If you absolutely love a place, that option exists. We try to keep this program very, very flexible. So we learned that it's not about how much money am I going to make this month? What's the highest amount of money I can make per hour in Canada? It's more about, who am I working with? What am I doing? Where am I? What's my work-life balance? How do I get out of the city where I'm afraid to go for a walk or take a subway right now in fear of getting sick, and, go to a business that's got mountains and fields all around me where I can actually explore and breathe and not necessarily worry so much about what this situation is currently on planet Earth. And that's what we learned. And so we're constantly redeveloping this program. But at the end of the day, our goal here is, send you out with other individuals, like-minded travelers, explore, work and live in some beautiful places, make sure that you're getting enough money to live. This is not $1 million program. If that is your goal, then there's lots of sewage treatment plants that are offering $100 an hour that you can go and work at tomorrow. We don't staff those. We staff really incredible tourism and hospitality businesses across Canada that are looking to invest in people just like you. So let's look a little bit about what summer is actually like and what the program is all about. And again, I just pulled these directly off of our social media channels. Please feel comfortable to go check them out yourselves. Talk to these individuals. You can see selfies with the Prime Minister now. Of course, that was before he had his shaggy hair, but road trips, experiences, it's all about the opportunity to explore and see Canada and get out there and try new things. And again, we work very closely with a number of communities across the country. So even though you're kind of on your adventure solo in some cases, you're going to be part of a tight-knit family of working travelers that are in this program with you and that have come before you. So we often get the question, I'm interested, this sounds so cool, I want to do it, am I eligible? So here's the criteria. It's pretty straightforward. If you're under 18, I can't really help you right now because in many cases you're going to be living in staff accommodations. There's going to be a housing component, and if you're 18, I can send you to an area where you can legally drink, and it's not an insurance issue. But if you're 17, there's all kinds of problems there. So it doesn't mean don't apply if you're 17. Apply, but we're not going to be able to send you out until you're 18, simply because of that staff housing piece. Same goes for the next section here. I can't help you if you need immigration sponsorship for these roles. Most of them are not eligible. If you're on a post-grad work permit or you're on an IEC work permit, so you're a work and traveler and coming to Canada on an open work permit, absolutely feel free to apply. We can definitely employ you. But if you are requiring some form of sponsorship, that's not something that we can support you with at this time. The next section here, again, it's about housing. We want to make sure everybody feels safe with who they're living with. And so generally, you are going to be requested to complete a criminal background check. And if there's something serious on there, then we probably won't be able to find that housing for you. And so if there's a significant element there, that's going to be our biggest obstacle. Please feel free to ask your interviewer or ask somebody when you're applying through this process about specific cases, because there have been exceptions in the past. But I want to make sure you're not living with any convicted axe murderers. Moving forward, we are looking for individuals who have completed high school at this point. Now, here's why. It's really because it's a pretty widespread program, because we're looking for people in all different types of positions. It's not saying that you need a high school diploma to be able to complete some of these jobs. You see, in many cases, this program requires a commitment. You're going to be traveling across the country. You're going to be doing some big things. You're going to be going far and wide and making a pretty big commitment, and being able to honor the commitment that you make to an individual placement, even for 6 months, is very important to us. It's the only way that we can keep this program alive. And one of the only tools that we have available is that high school graduation to be able to identify whether or not you are somebody who can honor a commitment. Now, of course, there are always exceptions. There are always situations where people just didn't have a chance to do it, but then went back and got a GED later, and that's totally cool. If you can show that you completed that task, that is something that you were able to complete, or in the process of completing, and will have it completed by the time you join the program, you are absolutely eligible. But if that's just not something that you are interested in completing, and you don't have plans to go back and make that commitment, then we would be worried about you not honoring your commitment with us as well. So again, if those sound pretty easy, it's because they are. We have a tremendous number of people who fit into that qualification categories, and that's because we have a tremendous amount of jobs across the country and different types of employers that are looking for different types of people. So really, we weight our scale on who we're looking for tremendously on this last one, and that's the thirst for adventure. It's an attitude thing. It takes a lot to commit to this program. Well, that's not true. A lot of people commit to this program. It takes a lot to be successful in this program. Most people don't realize that the number one reason why we lose people in Mobilize, it's not because somebody wasn't a good fit. It's not because it wasn't a good employer. It's not because they arrive on site and are totally crazy and, love to party or just aren't, good for a job. It's none of those things. The truth is, we have enough jobs traditionally to fit most people. The number one reason why we lose people in the Mobilize program is homesickness. It's that they've never actually traveled before. They've never actually thought of what it's going to take to leave your entire world behind and try something totally new. And they get out on site, and the first week, everything is magical and sparkly and beautiful. And then, 3 weeks in, all of a sudden now things start to fall into a little bit of a routine, and you make the mistake of spending a little bit too much time on Instagram and watching your friends' stories back home. And you start thinking, oh, I guess I missed that party. And oh, why didn't I get that phone call? And now all of a sudden, all those things that you left behind that started to really bore you before you left, now you start missing them. And then by that 5th week, all of a sudden it's this dread, this depression that starts to settle in of, oh my God, what did I do? I should be home. And then usually around that 8th week, we start to see this. It's a very weird medical condition. It's like you get a sliver in your finger and you start looking at it and you go, oh my God, this I'm gonna die. This sliver it's the only place in the world that can save me is my home clinic at the Shoppers Drug Mart in my hometown. Anywhere else, I'm gonna lose my finger, and then the infection's gonna spread, and it's gonna be the worst thing in the world, and I'm gonna die. And then, we lose people and they disappear. And usually after about a week, I get a phone call saying, oh my God, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Can I come home? Can I come back? I can't believe I needed to come home. Now I need to go back. And at that point, I can't help you. You've disappeared in the middle of the night. Your employer doesn't trust you anymore. And so, long story short, what we are looking for here is somebody who is going to have the tenacity, somebody who's going to have the grit, somebody who's going to have a positive attitude and a thirst for an adventure, and the ability to weather the storm when that homesickness hits. Not if, because everybody gets homesick, including myself even now, but when that homesickness hits, the ability to get through that to the other side, that's what we're interviewing for. And so think carefully about what I just said, because that's going to be the majority of your interview questions are going to be really focused on that area. That's going to be something that really makes a huge difference. Is this somebody that is going to stick it out and be successful? Is this somebody that is really interested in breaking outside of that comfort zone and trying something totally different, living somewhere totally new, making new friends, trying new activities, hiking new mountains, completing new tasks, whatever that is, are they going to be successful in doing that? So, next big question I get, where am I going? What's next? Well, we have a ton of different programs in different locations and different types of experiences, ranging from, Rocky Mountain placements and Jasper and Canmore and Valemont and all kinds of really cool interior BC locations, to remote locations and Yukon Territories and Manitoba to golf course placements in Ontario. The truth is the roles change every single day. The one kind of unified element here is that these are great employers, traditionally very seasonal, that we screen very carefully, and we work with them to make sure that they are offering some kind of a unique experience, and they have housing and they have hours, and that their wages are fair. And so you will have the opportunity to choose where you're going. The tail end of this session is going to be kind of explaining what the next steps of this process are. And right before you actually deploy to your location, you're going to be speaking with our Director of Partner Experiences after your interview to be able to determine what that perfect placement is going to be for you. So again, definitely apply as quickly as you can and make it through the process as quickly as you can, because there is some, application processes, and there's interviews, and there's all kinds of different stages that occur between you applying and you actually getting on the ground. But the last stage is going to be working with our team to identify the right placement for you. And it's going to be the right placement based on what we have available at that moment. And that changes day to day. So don't wait, get your application in, make it happen quickly, and then you'll be able to decide, depending on which role that we have available, which one is going to be that right fit for you. The next question is, what job am I going to be doing? What's going to be the process here? And again, there's a range. We work in a wide variety of positions, and you applied for a particular role, but that doesn't mean that that's the only role. In many cases, we have housekeeping, serving, bartending, but in this COVID world, there's a limited number of roles right now. The majority of the roles that are in the program right now tend to be housekeeping, but again, that varies. Don't hold me to that. Traditionally, there's opportunities to cross-train and do various things and try a number of different roles that exist. So again, you'll be able to make that final decision at the last stage of the process. Next big question I get, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is how much money am I going to be making? Show me the money. The truth is, and I've shared this many, many times, this is not $1 million program. If your goal here is I want to make as much money as possible, stay in your parents' basement, go and work for Loblaws, get your hazard pay. You'll probably be able to save more money doing that. We're not offering that. We're offering an adventure. We're offering an experience. We're offering an opportunity to get outside of that comfort zone and try something totally new. We work really hard with our employers to make sure that you're going to be making enough to survive, to do everything that you want. Maybe if you're careful, to save a little bit of money and to cover all of your expenses. So, housing's always going to be a part of this. You're always going to have more than enough to eat. You're always going to have more than enough to go on your adventures. Again, we've had 2,000 mobilizers go before you. So there's a lot of learning. We know what it takes. We know how to be successful with this. But if your goal is, I want to make as much money as I possibly can, this isn't right for you. I put some information in here about the next placement that's going to be following this summer as well, and that's only because we've already talked about summer. So again, we run 2 placements over the course of the year. There's no specific start and end date. Usually it's kind of October and June, but we have roles that are going year round. So please don't try to wait for this process. Get your application in, get on the wait list, because generally once you're in the program, you have priority placement over the next job that's available. So definitely a first come, first serve process. And again, we have lots of people who do this just for 6 months, and we have lots of people who say, I'm not done traveling and have been going for 2, 3, 4 years now and are always going to new locations. So please get your application in, get your information in. We're around, we're here answering questions. We're working from home, but that's not new for us. And we'd love to help you, and we'd love to travel with you. If I haven't scared you away yet, and you still think this is something that's interesting, and you still want to proceed during this process and try a new adventure and, get out of your home, get out of your comfort zone, go somewhere new, please continue your application, get to that next step in your interview, answer those questions that'll follow up shortly, and good luck. We'd love to travel with you soon, and have an incredible, incredible day.